Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And in this video guys, I want to talk about the biggest farming mistake I am seeing in the game right now. This is a mistake that I think players make in all areas of this game, from the early stages of the game all the way to your end game tip of the spear players. This is a huge problem and I want to address it in a whole video just on itself. So make sure you guys like and subscribe, comment down below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. So with this issue, right, I want to start in my farming guide. I'm going to explain why the farming guide we're going to use this. The issue that I'm going to talk about is players are reactive with their farming instead of proactive. So as I go through this farming guide, I'm going to explain what I mean and show you guys some other examples. Being reactive is you get something and then realize you need X. A perfect example of this is going to be with the Executor. The Executor, Cad Bane is not a requirement, but he's a key member of that fleet. Beskar Mando, the Razor Crest is required, but he's not a relic requirement. However, having these characters at lower relics makes your fleet a target and not nearly as effective. So reactive farming would be, hey, I gotta have Executor. Oh, now I need to star and level my Cad Bane. I need to get him. Like, that's being reactive. Being proactive, I could potentially have them at relic 0 and ready to do the Executor event. Again, I'm just explaining the situation that being proactive isn't necessarily, I think sometimes people think it's about staying ahead of the meta, right? That I've got Tuskens or I've got the Hut Cartel right away. That's not being proactive. Like, in the sense that I'm trying to say proactive, you're planning ahead for your current farm. That's being proactive. So there's that example. Another one I like to use is in while we're down here, we need to stop, pay homage to our king, Wampa. If you guys want to be proactive and get Wampa to relic 8, all you need to do, smash that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment. Make sure we hit 5,000 subscribers, guys, and Wampa hits relic 8. Live on stream, by the way. So the other example I like to use for this is, where is he at? Down here, is General Skywalker. So phase 2, here are the required characters for General Skywalker. Phase 4, here are the requirements for General Skywalker, which then obviously get you General Skywalker. But these droids don't go with Asajj Ventress. They want General Grievous as the leader. So by going and farming General Grievous, by being proactive, you now have a whole nother team you can utilize in your roster. You build up your clone troopers, and they don't necessarily need to be relics at this point, right? Again, it's just where my roster is and the example I can use. But you can run them under Shaak Ti, and then you get General Skywalker, and now you have that team to use with General Skywalker. You were proactive. You planned ahead that instead of getting General Skywalker and realizing you need to use the 501st with him, which, like, people have done that, trust me, they have. You want to have them ready. And that's being proactive, guys. Those are just a few examples from the farming guide that I've kind of implied and not always really explicitly said that that's being proactive. You're planning for that time that when you get General Skywalker, you're going to have these droids. So you may as well go get Grievous, and then you want to have these guys ready so that way you have your full 501st team. So what are some current examples, right? The first one is Sith Eternal and Wat Tambor. These guys have been best friends since as soon as Sith Eternal was released. We realized Wat Tambor was the greatest accompanying asset, like best friend for him. Unfortunately, that duo is about to be broken up because of Admiral Octopus here. In his kit, right, Admiral Trench's kit explicitly talks about tech and extortion, right, which extortion comes from Nute Gunray, but tech is from Wat Tambor. The same thing goes, you keep reading down here, right, non-Geonosian and all this stuff, but shield generator tech, who gives that? That would be Wat Tambor. So now we're at this situation where Wat is going to be leaving Sith Eternal. So how do we be proactive, right? What do we do to be proactive with that? Well, Armor is kind of that answer. She's a really good plug and play, but with Beskar Armor, even at 2 stacks, which is normally what you're going to be able to get on a Sith Eternal in most battles, you get 30% protection at the end of your turn. You're going to get 50% defense and then 15% max health. So with Sith Eternal, the one aspect of the shield generator tech that was really nice for him with the Wat Tambor is that it does, where is it at here? Right here. 30% protection, which is the same as that Beskar ingot, but it did dispel the debuffs. On the flip side, with the Armorer, while you're not getting the dispelled debuffs, you're gaining some additional defense, 50%, and then max health. And if you get a third stack, you have a 100% counter chance and can't be critically hit. So there's some added bonuses to running the armor. That Dispel debuffs is super nice. It definitely can make ability block teams a little bit more open for Sith Eternal, and I'm very curious to see if that plays an impact in how useful he is, because a lot of teams do ability block him that he goes up against. Jedi Master Luke, even Malgus teams, you put Bastila Fallen in there with ability blocks. There can be some, it can be really dangerous for Sith Eternal without a Dispel. Which brings me to a point that just want to throw this in here while I'm talking about this, because Sith Eternal's really been impacted by this. Was the Treya Omicron really meant to be used with Sith Eternal? I don't know. I think they already nerfed it, and part of me was like, oh, they just don't want Lord Vader, but I really was curious if maybe they were intending that this is the lifter unit for Sith Eternal. Again, I don't know that. I'm just brainstorming. Let me know what you guys think. The other way you could be proactive, though, for Sith Eternal is get some additional Sith guys, like Sith Empire Trooper, give them another tank. Make them focus on Sith Empire Trooper and keep those debuffs off of Sith Eternal himself. Again, with Wat Tambor, Admiral Trench, they're going to be a really good team, but it just comes into, begs the question, what do we do with Sith Eternal? You need to be proactive in thinking about that, which is why my armor is almost 7-star, and I will be gearing her up after I get Jabba the Hutt. Then you have always these two. I always bring this up with these two. What does being proactive for Jedi Master Kenobi and Lord Vader look like? Well, you need Commander Tano and Maul. Duh. But with Lord Vader, I do want to make one other observation. Excuse me. Wow. Whoa. Observation. You need Royal Guard in that team. So if you already don't have Royal Guard, you need to add him to your list, which is another character required at Relics for Lord Vader, which is why he's so expensive. You really need those two. And that's being proactive. You're going to spend that time getting Royal Guard ready to go so that when you get Lord Vader, you have a fully functioning team. It's a huge problem in this game is players just don't really understand that these guys are not as good without not only their lifter units, but with their optimal teams. Jedi Master Kenobi, while he does want Commander Tano and, Baby Tano, right, Teen Ahsoka, you normally have Teen Ahsoka. She's normally one that people have, so I don't cover her as much as I would like Royal Guard, where unless you have Sith Eternal, most people don't gear him up. Another example, guys, I want to do a few examples here just to show you guys, give you different perspectives. You have your finalizer fleet. So you have General Hux, who's the fleet commander. You have Kylo Ren on mass with a TIE silencer. And then you have your pilots for the command shuttle, right? Guys, see you got, OG Kylo, Captain Phasma, and First Order Stormtrooper. Also, I don't know, I always say this. I always say OG Kylo. When this game was released, Kylo Ren was in the game, but Kylo Ren Unmasked was not. That's why we call him OG Kylo. That was the way to differentiate between the two. It's like KRQ, right? Kylo Ren Unmasked, and OG Kylo. Again, I just thought I would throw that in there because some of you guys are like, why do we call him OG Kylo? He was well in the game before Kylo Ren Unmasked. But the other two pilots, right, that you come in here, right, and I'm gonna say this is you. These are both good ships. The First Order Special Forces, he has some really nice abilities with the ability block, the assist, and First Order TIE Pilot, actually this ship can be really, really good with the double tap on basic. And then also when he's attacking ships, I think it's here, he gains 15% turn meter whenever a target lock enemy is damaged by an attack. So he's got some really good abilities in there. So those are, I always say, this is you, right? And then the guy she told you not to worry about, the TIE Echelon is fantastic. And it's not a requirement for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, but if you're going for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren and not farming this ship, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You are just starting way down below. Guys, this ship is so good. It completely revolutionizes the First Order fleet. It makes it a lot more difficult to take out. So being proactive in this example here is just farming that ship. You're already going to have the pilot. It's not like you need to do anything crazy, gearing here. This is just go farm a ship. And yes, while ships are harder to get, this ship, even at lower stars, made a massive, massive difference to all First Order fleets. And at 7 stars, even at this relic level, I can get pretty consistent against an executor fleet, as long as it's not the triple attacker, right? If you run the Houndstooth, Razor Crest, and Xanadu Blood, I can bring in this fleet and I will win, probably 7 to 8 times out of 10, I would say. Another example that I love to bring up because people do this all the time. You guys love Star Killer. Everybody loves Star Killer. Everybody wants to get Star Killer as like their first character because he's easy to get, and that's another topic for another day. But there's a fifth requirement, and that's at bare minimum Visas Mark. You need a light side unaligned force user. So if you would scroll down through the list of unaligned force users, you could use JTR, but most people wouldn't have her. Ben Solo, you're not going to have her. You're not taking Commander Luke Skywalker away. You won't have Commander Tano. Stick Rey, I mean, that's just a waste of gear unless you're going for Rey herself. You've got your, um, you know, Fulcrum Ahsoka Tano. Gosh, couldn't get that out. Who's amazing in Territorial Wars, but like not doing much in the Starkiller team. So Visas Mark's kind of that fifth rec to Starkiller. So because you need her, I think it's one of the mistakes I see a lot of guys make. They don't go and just take that next step to say, yes, Starkiller needs that last character, that last slot. They don't always think about it, and Visas Mar is the answer. Even if you don't use the revive, like I've never had to revive somebody. One, it's because you need it for the unique, but it's the threat. Without Visas Mar, Starkiller teams are so much easier to deal with because you don't have to worry about killing Visas Mar. You don't have to worry about killing her. You can go around another order. With Visas Mar in that team, she almost has that soft taunt that if you don't kill her and she gets a revive off, that battle could be over really, really quickly. So that's the video, guys. That's about you being proactive. It's not about being ahead of the meta. It's not about going and saying, you know what, I'm going to be ahead of the meta and get all my Tuskens up to Relic 7. Like, that's fantastic. If you want to go do that, that's great. But being proactive is about just planning your farms ahead. And I think that's where a lot of us make that mistake. I've made it in the past too, that you don't think about we don't always think about the consequences of our current farm until we get it. They understand what you need to not only get that current team, but make it get it at the level that it deserves to be. The last one we'll use here, right? You guys are going for Jabba the Hutt. The fifth character for his team, you could use Boba Fett, Gamorrean Guard. I've seen people use Mob Enforcer, but the best one, hands down, is our boy Embo. And I'll leave it with this. Right, Embo is like the best fifth character to use. If you don't have Embo geared up, you can use Boba Fett, and that's fine. But Embo makes that team so much better. So being proactive would be going after Embo for that Jabba the Hutt team. Again, guys, I just wanted to give you a few examples of this. Hopefully, it help you avoid this mistake that you're reactive instead of proactive. As always, guys, I love every single one of you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.